Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
Hey guys, this is your co-host Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average pun-making swearwolf that loves to explore the spookier things in life.
I'm your co-host John Thomas, paranormal investigator, super smartass, and film lover extraordinaire.
And we are live. All right. What's up, ghouls, gals, and all my pop culture loving pals? Today we have AMC Comic Book Men's very own Ming Chen. Ming is also the founder and chief podcaster of A Shared Universe PodcasStudio. We will be discussing his top horror favorites and geek out on all things horror. Welcome to the show, Asian sensation Ming.
What's up, everybody? It's a huge honor to be on the 3Haunted podcast. I'm a listener, I'm a fan, and I've always wanted to be a guest. So we have completed the trifecta, and thank you for the invite. This is truly a huge honor, and it's great being on with you guys. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you on. You didn't think I was going to say it, did you?
I didn't think you were going to say it.
They're like, will she, won't she? Will she, won't she?
You're talking about the Asian sensation part. I'm glad you said it because, I have it on my business cards. This is why we start our own things, my friends, is so we can make business cards that say that, where you can give yourself your own title such as Asian sensation or anything else.
I need to come up with a business card. I don't know what it's going to say because it's not, I don't know. It has to have like that pop. Like Asian
Lunar
sensation.
Goddess is a pretty cool title, my friend.
It's true. It's just the card will say Lunar Goddess on the front, 3Haunted on the back.
Sold. Whatever you're selling, I'm buying it.
I love it. And I even wore my Shared Universe sweatshirt. So.
I appreciate it. You make it look better than I do, my friend.
Since I stole it. I mean, technically, we traded. So I had one last size medium 300 shirt left, and it was my personal one. So we traded.
It smelled good, too.
I'm sure it did.
Too. I mean, I washed it, so it should.
And I do have more coming.
And as John said, more coming. If you guys want one, more are coming.
Yes.
So I am super excited to have you on, Ming. I feel like every show that you and I are at together, we end up talking about horror. And there's one specific horror film we geek out on together.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Big time. And I don't know, anybody that listens to the show by now should know which one I'm obsessed with. Like, it's not new. But for those who don't know, what's our favorite, Ming?
Our favorite film centers around truth, justice, in the American way. That would be The Lost Boys, 1987. Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, Kiefer Sutherland, Bill from Bill and Ted, Alex Winter, many, Jamie Gertz, Tim Capella, the oiled up sax player. One of my favorite horror movies for sure. 1000%.
That's probably one of the reasons why I love you and we are such awesome friends because of the Lost Boys geekdom, but also because we share a love for the same athleisure wear brand. So.
Oh, sure, that would be a Lululemon of Canada. Yeah.
Like he's got to name the facts behind them.
Absolutely.
It makes your butt look good. And was it one of the first things I noticed about you, Ash? I cannot confirm nor deny, but
I don't know. That night was just a crazy night. I think we got kicked out of that bar.
Little bar in Colorado Springs, Colorado, my friends. We are now banned for life from there.
If they remember us.
Yeah.
They might remember the Asian sensation. They probably won't remember any of the rest of us.
Oh, they remember the Lunar Goddess for sure.
So, Lost Boys, when did you first see it? Was it when it came out or was it when it caught on? When did you first see The Lost Boys?
No, I didn't see it at the theater, and I have to preface everything by saying, like, I feel like such a poser being on this show because the horror genre scared me for a long time. I was at a friend's sleepover when I was about 12 or 13, and he had put in a copy of a horror movie called Truth or Dare. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this movie. It's a very B movie. I don't know. I don't think it's that well known. And I'm not talking about the Madonna Truth or Dare. There's a cheesy ass horror movie called Truth or Dare. I mean, I couldn't even tell you about the plot, and the effects are really bad, and none of it really makes any sense. But it's about a guy going around killing people. I think he finds his wife's cheating on him, and his life sucks, and he kind of just snaps and just starts killing people. And for whatever reason, though, I couldn't see past the cheesiness, and this movie scared me off of horror for years. Didn't sleep for a couple weeks, and it wasn't until I got older and went back and saw some of the cooler '80s horror movies that like I manned up a little bit, I guess, or I guess that's a bad term to use now, but I got a little braver. However, The Lost Boys I saw, and I was like, okay, that had comedy in it. That had kids pretty much my own age, that I could relate to in it. I thought I had been to the city of Santa Cruz before on a family trip. And so I was like, holy crap, that's Santa Carla, the murder capital of the world. Everything about that movie, just, the Frog Brothers. I wanted to be the Frog Brothers. And that I could relate to more. And that, there's blood and guts, but it's not it's not a slasher movie. It's not, there had people's heads getting cut off by chainsaws. And I think the fact that it had kids my age that I could relate to, and it played a huge part in it. And to me, it's the perfect movie for sure. And not only that, I think The Lost Boys is a litmus test for sure. If you meet anybody who either doesn't like it, hasn't seen it, or refuses to watch it, then immediately those are red flags. And
I agree.
I can't be friends with you. I'm not gonna waste my time with you. See you later. Have a great life.
Yeah. Especially the ones that are not willing to. It's one thing to be like, I haven't seen it. Cool, let's watch it. And the ones that are like, no, I'm good. I'm like,
bye.
The door's over there.
Exactly.
So I would say many of my best friends are huge Lost Boys fans for sure.
It's a good litmus test. I feel you, though, on it being like just the perfect mixture of comedy and horror. Although you said chainsaws, not taking someone's head off, and I'm like, but you did see the vampire scalp somebody's head, like their scalp completely off, right, with their teeth.
Yeah, they did, and there's that one scene where they go and there's that bonfire, and they're showing like how they feed, and I had heard that scene was way more graphic, and I don't know if it was the MPAA or someone made them trim it down to not make it as gory, and
that was pretty gory. I'd love to see the original.
Yeah, I think that there was just more blood spatter in the original. I don't know if they ever released it. There might be a grainy like extended scene on YouTube that you might be able to grab. But that scene did scare me. And then the one that really traumatized me was the maggots, Mike. You're eating maggots. Yep. And as an Asian who ate rice pretty much every day, I didn't eat rice for like 2 months, rice or noodles for probably 2 months after that. And
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I could not. Nope.
Except he was living off of it.
Well, yeah, but I still sometimes to this day I can't. Like, I have to force myself not to even think about it. I'm just like, no, I can do this.
It was to me, I think that was the first depiction of like rice being, possibly. Like, wow, that I just saw they did that scene so well. I don't know the backstory about how they shot it or anything, where they got the maggots, what kind of lenses they used or whatever. But whoever shot that movie, I can't remember the cinematographer, did a great job because it legit did not eat rice for 2 months.
The Foley behind that, you can actually hear like the slick, moist sound of like the worms, and then like the maggots crawling, and it's like, ooh, oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, that was pretty traumatizing. So yeah, oddly enough, if you know me, I love food. So to not eat rice for 2 months is a pretty huge thing. But for a cinematic, it's like maybe 2 seconds you see that, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one that got affected by it like that much. But to me, That was like one of the most traumatic scenes in that movie. Not, not everyone turning into vampires, not people being scalped, not security guards getting pulled out of parking lots. It was the scene with the food in it.
maggots.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a little bit of horror for everybody, right? A little bit of something. And oh my gosh. I watched recently, speaking of like The Lost Boys, I watched The Vampires versus the Bronx. And there was a moment where I was about to get angry because the kids go into the church to find the vampires. And as they're walking in, and they're like, where are they? I don't see them. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't be hanging from the ceiling upside down. Because you just knew, like they're all walking in and shaking with their little stakes in their hands. And it's like, oh no. Please don't copy it. And then, it pans up and they're like, and they're hanging from the ceiling. And the guy climbs up to kill, while they're hanging upside down, killed the first one. And it's like, really, please don't go there. I do like that they changed it enough where it didn't feel like a complete copycat and it felt more like a little bit of a nod to it. Right. But there was definitely a moment where I was just like, oh my God, please do not. You've been doing so well, film. If you copy that scene like shot for shot, I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Yeah, we've seen this already. First come, first stake. Come on, we saw this already. Do something more original for sure.
That's what I love about The Lost Boys too. Everything is so damn quotable. Like every single scene has just a section you can quote. And people that are my friends that are named Michael probably hate me. Because it never fails, at least once in our friendship, they're going to hear me be like, maggots, Michael, you're eating maggots. How do they taste? And it's like, what did you just say to me? I've actually had a friend say that who had not watched The Lost Boys. And they're like, what did you say? And I'm like, we can't be friends. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things, if you look on the IMDb trivia section, so they say the word Michael like 148 times. For whatever reason, they needed to stress that's his name. And somewhere on YouTube, somebody there's a super cut of every time somebody says Michael's, usually Sam. And so that used to be when me and Mike Zapsik from Comic Book Men, we do a podcast. So that used to be part of our intro where it would just be like Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, they did say that was like the number one based out of all the words in the script. Michael was like the number one word used in the entire script, and that says a lot.
Yeah, so it was either Michael or some variation of the word Michael, Mike, but usually Michael. It was very, 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 very emphasized for whatever reason, and so yeah, if you played a drinking game, every time they said the word Michael, you would be very drunk by the end.
Be in the hospital. Except you have the high drinking tolerance.
I fake it well. I just drink very slowly. It looks like I've had like 15 drinks, but it's the same one every time.
The same one. Although I do love going on adventures with you because we always find like the speakeasies and the dive bars. So
yes, or the Mexican place that's open at 8 a.m. in Stockton, California.
That was good food. That was super good food.
After a night of partying, yes. So I've been called a vampire many times because I stay up so late and
I've called you that.
Yes.
I have myself said, what are you, a vampire? He'll go. I'll be like, I have to go to bed. It's 3 a.m. and he's still going. And then the next day he's up at 9 a.m. and I'm like, did you sleep at all? And he doesn't look like shit. He looks great. And so I'm just like, I don't know your secret because if I did what you do, they'd be like, Ashley, do you need to go to the hospital? You don't look so good.
I'm just surprised Ashley makes it till 3 o'clock.
Shut up.
She has, for sure. I can verify this.
He can vouch for me.
Maybe I'm half day walker, who knows? But I do my best. I don't know. I love late night partying, I guess. So
I would have stayed out till 3 last time too, or stayed up, I should say. But they kicked us out of the courtyard, and then Des made me go to sleep. So she's like, "Come on, it's bedtime. Here's some pajamas. Go to bed." And I'm like, "I love you, Mama Des."
So I'm just curious, and for some of the listeners, I kind of want to know how you guys actually met. I mean, I know a little bit, obviously, Ashley, but because Ashley was surprised that I knew who you were when she talked about you. And I'm like, oh yeah, Ming. I'm like, Comic Book Man. I freaking love that guy. But
and I did notice behind you the Clerks 2 posters. So
yes, I got everybody
well
to
done.
sign it back there except for Rosario, of course. But like since Kevin and them were here for Fan Expo in June or whatever it was, I got to meet all of them, so that was fantastic.
Amazing.
Yes.
I believe we did meet in Colorado Springs maybe 5 years ago. There was a Comic-Con there. I was one of the guests along with Mike Zapsik, and I believe Ash was. Were you handling celebrities?
Yeah, I was assigned to Peter Dante Peters. Wait, I
Yeah,
was mixing
Peter Dante.
Peter Dante. Yeah, I was assigned. So a friend of mine manages him and had me come in to handle because he was double booked for conventions that weekend. So I actually was hired in to work that weekend for him, and we all went out to this country. It was like a country bar, which actually this dive bar would have probably been right up your alley if they weren't so damn uptight. We weren't even, I seem to recall Ming and I were at the little electronic jukebox thing, and we decided to have a squatting contest to see who could do the most squats.
Yes, I lost, but, but I went up against the best, so I'm not no shame there for sure.
Yeah, except at that point, Ming's like, ass to the grass, Ashley, ass to the grass. So now every time I see Ming, I yell at him, ass to the grass, Ming, ass to the grass.
Yeah, that's something you yell at you in workout classes. So,
Right.
yeah. And that night ended. He's our friend who we affectionately call Froggy. He's well known for just buying people fireball shots like one after the other.
My kind of
And
person.
if you don't drink them fast enough, he makes fun of you.
Oh.
And at one point he didn't make me, but I drank 3 fireball shots in like 10 minutes, and I was like, dude, if I stay here any longer, I'm gonna die of alcohol poisoning. So, I remember calling an Uber or at like 2 a.m. and just leaving without telling anybody because I didn't want to catch any crap, and 2, if I waited any longer, I wouldn't have even made it. So so while I still had a little bit of fog left. Yeah.
And shortly after, we all got kicked out. And it wasn't even closing time. The lady just got really mad at us. I guess we weren't like the vibe of that bar. And so she's just like got really mad.
Yeah.
We weren't destroying anything or doing anything awful, but she did not like us too much. So she kicked us out.
Wow.
Yeah, the finest of Colorado Springs, my friends.
But of course, Froggy tried to start a fight with her. Like, I'm like, dude, you can't, like, no, let's just go. If the owner of a bar wants you out, you got to go. You can't fight your way back in. Like, that just doesn't work that way. You just leave.
Which he should have known. He's from Las Vegas, so I mean, he should have known that. But yeah.
So yeah, that was an adventure.
Oh yeah, for sure, always. But those are the the very cool beginnings of our friendship for sure.
Awesome.
I feel like after that, every time we've been at shows together, it's just been just fun. Except we don't get kicked out of bars, so that's
no. They invite us back in. So
they do. They like you, Ming.
I mean, I try to make friends with bartenders, wait staff industry people because you don't want to get kicked out. You want to be invited back to the places that you love. So. I try not to be rude or obnoxious. I mean, in bars especially.
The one in Stockton was really cool because he took a picture with the owner, what was he, the manager of the bar, who this guy's been there for a long time, and posted it. And the next day, the son had printed it out and brought it to the show for Ming to sign for his dad. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So the guy had been working there for like 40 years or something, and his kid was a big pop culture Kevin Smith Comic-Con fan, and he had gone down to San Diego Comic-Con this year. He had come over to meet me, but I'd taken off for the Kevin Smith Big Hall H panel already, so he didn't get to meet me, and he was like, "Oh man, that stinks. I came all this way." And I didn't get to see Ming. Little did he know, about a month later, I'd be hanging out drinking with his dad at his hometown bar, the bar that his dad worked at. And yeah, so when he's when you look on Instagram or Facebook and you see a photo of your dad and the guy you were trying to meet at San Diego Comic-Con a month before, yeah, I don't know. It's funny how life works out. So yeah, so I did get to meet him. Big shout out to Anthony, and I'm sure we'll be all seeing each other very soon.
Yeah. Stockton Con's coming up again. Hopefully they'll have you back. So
I'll be
how
back.
could they not? They love you. Like everywhere Ming goes, people are like, "Oh my gosh, Ming, we love you, Ming." And you have a way of just melting everybody's hearts.
I think, yeah. Again, I love that place. It's pretty much the only open bar within like a safe 1 mile radius from the convention center. So nobody really leaves the hotel at that con, but except for me.
Except you walk around and people are like, "Wait a minute,
you went
just
outside?
been walking around?" Yeah.
Apparently, it's a dangerous town. I haven't seen this, but that's because everyone likes me enough to not mess with me. Maybe, hopefully.
There you go.
But I take the people I really like over there, and so far it's worked out. And that building's been there forever. It's definitely haunted. There's no doubt.
It's definitely haunted.
Sweet.
We should see if they'll let us do like a paranormal thing there.
They probably would. Yeah, I think it dates back to the early 1900s. I looked up this history of the building. It used to be like a leather shop or a tannery, like back in the day. And then it was a saloon for a while, and then it may have been like this weird Chinese restaurant for a little bit, and now it's just like a dive bar. So there's definitely history. There's probably been one, if not more, people who have died in that building. And the funny part is it's called Mr. D's Pub and Pizza.
I was going to say that.
For as long as I've been going there, they've never had pizza. And then finally we asked, it was like, hey, been coming here for about 3 or 4 years, never seen one hint of pizza. Like, what's up with that? And there's a little window that says pizza window, but it's dark. And they're like, oh yeah, there was a fire here a while ago, and it never recovered from that. So no pizza. They never rebuilt like the pizza kitchen.
Wow.
But they still leave it as a pizza parlor. Which sucks when it's late at night and you're hungry. It's like, let's get pizza. Oh yeah, there's no more pizza.
Yeah.
You got to go to the Mexican space around.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see what spirits lie within that building for sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We did that. We did the museum. Remember, they did the dinner at the museum, and they're like, yeah, it's haunted, all this stuff. And they had some really creepy rooms. They had an art piece that the security guy kind of motions me over and says quietly, that is all made from human hair, right? I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, that art piece on the wall in this creepy ass like room that they have staged, all made of human hair. I'm like,
ew.
Why? Yeah, well, why would you do that? Why would that be a thing? But yeah, and he must have sensed on me that I like creepy stuff though, because he kind of motioned me off to tell me about that. And I know that they said it was supposed to be haunted, so we went into the basement, and I'm just like, hey, Ming, go with me to this room. I don't want to go by myself. And he's like, you're supposed to be like the 3Haunted and you're scared to go by yourself. I'm like, yes, let's go.
I thought that was funny. Yeah, for sure.
I made him walk in front of me.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Let the ghost get him.
It was a creepy basement though. And yeah, again, the museum that the building of the museum that was housed in was, yeah, pretty old and creepy for sure.
Well, they had a lot of old stuff in the basement, like artifacts, because it's a museum, old art pieces, and it just like it definitely created that vibe. And then you have the human hair art piece, and it just like, what? That's made of all of human hair? That's weird, because it looks like little pinwheels and little things that have been kind of woven together. You don't know what it is. Like maybe it's fabric of some kind or textile, and then they're like, it's human hair, all of it. I still don't understand why.
Yeah, and they had a vault down there with just old art pieces, and it kind of reminded me of that some had like ornate frames. So it reminded me, it was like, wait, is this if one of them was like Vigo from Ghostbusters 2? I wouldn't have been
It's
shocked.
a Vigo.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Yeah.
The one that we had seen off where I was just like, hey, what's that back there? It looks like a naughty painting. And then it ends up being like, this most mysterious painting. They can't track who the owners are. It was dropped off one day and never to be discussed again. And I'm like, oh, I just thought it was dirty, but that's got actual like mystery behind it.
Right, like nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows who dropped it off, and nobody has come by to pick it up. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really cool. So, Ming, what would you say, like another favorite of yours is now that you've watched more horror?
I definitely, I mean, The Lost Boys I consider horror, but not like pure horror. But if I'm going to go like traditional pure horror movies, definitely Nightmare on Elm Street. One, Robert Englund is brilliant. We all know that character is him. The amount of work he put into that, and just the personality that he created in Freddy Krueger is unmatched. And why anybody tries to not use him as Freddy Krueger is beyond me. Jackie Earle Haley, I love you. I've met you several times, but you're not Freddy Krueger. Let's just get that out of the way. But that's one I saw, and that one I didn't sleep for like a month because that's the one. It's like, holy crap! I didn't know that if you die in your dreams, you die for real. I was like, holy crap! And and yeah, the just that whole premise is genius. But even the beginning, with the boiler and making the glove, that iconic glove is I mean, that it was just nothing I'd ever seen before. And then that first kill with Amanda Wyss and spinning around her bedroom and all that blood flying everywhere. Yeah, I mean that set the tone for everything. And then it just kept getting better. And I think that's a movie that's never really been matched in my opinion in the annals of horror. And I mean, not only has it been unmatched, but I think it's aged really well. And then and I wouldn't have known it. Robert Englund's doing a lot of cons now, horror conventions, Comic Cons, pop culture conventions, and just if anybody has ever gotten the pleasure of meeting him, he's a great storyteller. He's a great guy, but he lives that role as well, which I really he not only does he embrace that role, I think he lives it a little bit as well. So, which is really great. Yeah, that all culminated though in an episode of our TV show Comic Book Men. I believe it's season 7, where my coworkers get him to come in for my birthday. It's a surprise present. Comes into the comic book shop for my birthday, and we got to hang out with him for a little bit. Got all his cool stories. He brought me a glove for my birthday, so I have a glove. It's not screen used, but it's made by a company called Nightmare Gloves, which is endorsed by Robert Englund as like his choice for replica gloves, and it's pretty solid. If you want like the best Freddy glove on them that you can buy, that would be it. And I got a Freddy sweater as well. I think that came from Amazon. So, but I framed both of them together, so it's one of my most prized possessions for sure. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Robert Englund and Mark Hamill from Star Wars were roommates at one time. And he told the story about the day Mark Hamill came in, and he was like, man, they want me to audition for some space movie. I don't know, there's a Wookiee in it and, lightsabers. Like, this sounds stupid. I'm not going to do it. And Robert was like, why not? It could be cool. You should go audition for it. You never know where it might lead you. It might be cool. And of course, that movie was Star Wars, and not only did it change Mark Hamill's life, but I think it changed a lot of lives for sure. It's basically a religion at this point. Changed my life for sure. It's one of my favorite movies, and I live and die by the Force for sure. But had Robert Englund not been there home that day, he may have passed that audition. It really sounded like he didn't want to do it. So
it's like, oh, that sounds nerdy, and look at him now.
Yes.
The original, Nightmare on Elm Street was supposed to be like super scary, and they'd only built in a few like one-liners for Robert, but he had delivered it so well, and people connected to that so much that they actually started building in more and more in the scripts for like the later movies, like 2, 3, and on, because people loved that so much. So he got a little cheekier, he got a little funnier, because from the first one, that's what people really loved. They're quoting his little one-liners. And I think that, like, yeah, Robert is Freddy. Like, I couldn't see anybody else playing him, and we've seen someone else be cast at him as him, and it didn't work for me. But
Yeah, I mean, he's so much that character. It's like, why would you even try putting anyone else in that? Like, yeah, it was so crazy. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, the later movies basically became all one-liners, I think, to a certain extent. But but the first one, yeah, there's some pretty iconic one-liners. Welcome to Primetime, bitch. This is God.
yeah,
Like so many great one-liners.
well, like when he calls her on the phone, "I'm your boyfriend now."
Yeah, I'm your boyfriend now. Yeah, it's so great. So I mean, that's a must watch at least a couple times a year for sure. But I love how if you go to a Comic-Con, there's always a Freddy Krueger cosplayer, either male or female, and a lot of them. And then they're the different versions from all the movies and the different glove versions. And then you have straight on cinematic accurate Freddy Krueger. You have the female cosplayers with the sexy Freddy Krueger.
The Playboy bunny.
Yes,
Freddy
the bunny
Krueger.
Freddy Krueger. I've seen that as well. So yeah, you get pretty clever with it. Absolutely.
I actually have probably way too many Freddy Krueger sweaters in my closet. I think, and I don't know, because I've done like aerial performances as Freddy Krueger, so I had to have like a much longer one. But then I also just have like, this is what I'm gonna wear during the fall, during spooky season, and so I just have different like iterations, like you said, different cinematic versus theatrical versions of it, and so why not? It's fun. But now, like, my daughter has stolen one of them, and now she's been wearing it to school. And I'm just like, I'm proud, but also stay out of my closet.
Right.
That's just good. That's called good parenting, my friends.
Yeah. So she's
Good
also going to be
parenting.
Michael Myers for Halloween. So, yay, I did something right.
Wow. So you have a William Shatner mask in your house.
She calls it Mariah Carey.
I mean, it kind of does. Once you see that picture, you can't unsee it, and yeah, it's there.
I mean, all I want for Christmas is you. It works very well, I think.
It does.
Sure.
As he points to Lori. I know. It's so funny. So you and I got into a discussion in Salt Lake City. It was, I think, we were trying to find coffee. And I don't think we ever actually got into it too much. So I'm gonna pose it to you again, Ming.
Okay.
If you put Freddy Krueger versus Pinhead, who's gonna win?
It's such. I love this question. Is it's what we do as superhero geeks. Hulk, Thor, Batman, Superman, whatever. That's such a tough question. It's like I mean, you have to start putting in factors here. Is Pinhead asleep? Is he dreaming? Are we in the dream world where because that's Freddy's realm right there. So. Or have we gone down to hell already? And is Freddy battling Pinhead in hell? Yeah, definitely depends on the environments for sure. Outside factors. It's such a tough question though, man.
Although in the later movies of Nightmare, all it takes is one person dreaming about Freddy and pulling him into the real world
Right.
to have him out. So is he in reality? Because I don't know if Pinhead ever sleeps. Do demons sleep?
I don't think so. I don't think demons need sleep. They're yeah. I think that's why they're so angry in hell. They're lack of sleep for sure. There's they're
I mean, you do well without it.
I
Are you
do.
calling me a demon?
You're happy.
I'm very happy. Hopefully I'm not in hell. Some days
Feels like it.
some days with my knucklehead friends at the comic book shop, yes, it does feel like I'm trapped in hell. But such a tough question. I might have to give the edge to Freddy though, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'd be a great battle though. And yeah, I guess I don't know. Can we ever see that unfold somewhere? At least in a comic book or something?
I would love to see it unfold. I think that like Pinhead, I mean, granted, he's a master of torture. That's all he's got, right? Torture. And like Freddy, we've seen him tortured.
Oh yeah.
And he seems to just always come back. He's very resilient.
Yes.
But like Pinhead, we saw what happened when his worst fear came to life. What was it in part 2 when he gets separated from his human
Yeah.
half? And so it's like, Freddy, that's what he does. He plays off of people's worst fears.
Right.
And so it's like, man, what is Pinhead afraid of? And so then what would that do? Like, would Freddy just go in hard? Like, in that one movie where he's like laughing at Jason while he's like pouring water on him and Jason turns into like the little kid shivering and he's just laughing. I'm like, oh my God, that's so mean and funny at the same time. And and you wonder, what would that look like for Pinhead? What is he gonna do?
Right.
Yeah, so that's a great versus that I would love to see one day for sure, 1000%. And
Yes.
yeah, so our fateful meeting at the on Comic Book Man, the comic book shop, worked out later on that year. So Robert Englund owes us a favor. So as you know, Robert Englund he does a lot of Comic Cons, and a couple months after he came on Comic Book Man, we were both appearing at a convention in Albany, New York, and Albany is about a 3-hour drive from us, so we were going to drive up there. But before we left, Robert's agent calls me, and she was like, "Hey, Ming, have you left New Jersey yet?" And I'm like, "No, why?" She's like, "Well, me and Robert are going to this con. Our flight from New Jersey to Albany got canceled. The next one doesn't take off for another 12 hours, so we're sort of stuck here. Can you give us a ride to the convention?"
Oh my gosh.
So it was my agent friend. Her name's Kat. It was Robert Englund and Amanda Wiss was with them as well. So I basically had half of the original Nightmare on Elm Street with us, and we hadn't left yet. So I was like, "Hey, we'll see you at the airport in about 30 minutes. We'll pick you up. We will take you to the convention, and that way you don't have to stay in a Roach Motel overnight and wait for another flight. It's a 3-hour ride, big deal." So. Yeah, again, more storytelling, and if you've met Amanda Wiss, she's one of the nicest people on the planet. Great actress. If you haven't seen her in Nightmare on Elm Street, which if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you have. Freddy's first kill in the movie, which is cool. In the saga, she was also in Better Off Dead and a whole bunch of other great movies. But I think anybody listening to this knows her as Tina from the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So. That was pretty cool. So he still owes us one, which we'll whenever we redeem that, we'll make sure that 3Haunted wins out in some way as well.
Oh, that would be so amazing.
Kat actually brought me in to work for her for Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah.
And Robert was one of the ones that she had me. She's like, that's going to take a lot of, manpower. But there were the whole list. Actually, Amanda was there as well.
Yeah.
And so that was funny because she had asked me, hey, he's got a news spot in the morning. Can you escort him over to that and then bring him back to the show? I was like, sure, no problem. But yeah, in the car, he is just so full of fun stories. And he knows the man's a storyteller. He knows how to entertain. He knows how to keep people captivated. He did it again later that night at dinner, a table full of people, table full of entertainers, other, talent.
Yeah.
And he's just got them all captivated. And it's just like, good grief, you are an entertainer, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not surprisingly, no matter who's at the table, yeah, he's one of those. He's holding court for sure.
He captivates.
For sure. Yeah, you just sparked up another memory. I just remembered. I'm totally bragging now.
Obviously.
Why wouldn't I? I was at a Monster Mania convention. It was their smaller one in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And somehow I got invited with a group of people up to his room to watch Saturday Night Live, which was like, I don't know how this happened, but he's a big SNL fan. So yeah, somebody was working with him, stopped me in the hallway that night. I was like, hey, Robert's having this SNL viewing party in his room. You want to come? And like, how can you pass that up? I think a couple bottles of wine got opened, and
Yeah, he loves his wine.
Yeah. So,
he was telling us at dinner, like, this is how you eat the charcuterie boards. This is how you pair it with the wine. I said I was going to have just one glass, and he somehow managed to give me, like, 3. Like, he He's fantastic.
That sounds about right. But yeah, I'd almost forgotten that happened as well. So yeah, if long story short, if you get to hang out with Robert Englund, yeah, don't pass that chance up. But definitely go meet him if he's at a convention. I think everyone who I've talked to has come away from that experience was he gives everyone like 10, 15 minutes, which if you're waiting in line might seem like a long time, but eventually you'll get your shot as well. So,
Right.
He does have a gift of helping people feel like seen in
Yeah,
that
for
moment.
sure.
It's not just another signature or another hello. You do the same though. I've watched you at the shows. You make every person feel seen and special. It's a gift.
I try. I mean, it's. I really just want to talk to them. You know, the reason I love going to Comic Cons is it's being a geek for anything wasn't cool for the longest time.
Right.
So, back in high school, if I started talking about Wolverine or Vibranium or the Force or flux capacitors or even the Lost Boys, like people would give me blank stares back. And they would just kind of excuse themselves from the room. And there's nothing worse than talking passionately about something to somebody and getting that blank stare, that glassed over look on their eyes, because they don't know how cool it is. And you're trying to tell them, and you're trying to educate them, and you're trying to be like, you haven't seen this, you haven't read this issue of a comic book, like you need to read it right now because it'll change your life. And yeah, so as a geek, you feel very alone. For that, and it's not just comic books, but pop culture, horror, like whatever you're a geek for. You're always. I think your goal as a geek for anything is to be that person who discovers something really cool and then pass it on to other people. It's kind of like when you find something that you love, you want everybody else to love it too. And for the longest time, that was very difficult. Just because it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool to be a geek for anything. Now going to a convention, on any given day, you're surrounded by, 1,000 to 100,000 people in the same room who don't give you that blank look anymore, who will light up if you start talking about whatever you love. And it's pretty awesome. So, now I'm at conventions and people approach me and I want to find out what they're into, because chances are I'm into it as well. And we can have a pretty long, passionate discussion about it. But just selfishly, I just love not getting that blank look anymore. It's great.
We have our awesome, talented paranormal investigator friend, Brian. He's tuning in right now, and he says that is so true. Like, I love that geek and nerddom and all of that is in now, because I feel the exact same way. Back in the day, I would geek out on horror and people just didn't understand it because horror wasn't trendy for a long time. Now it is, but back in the day, vampires weren't cool. You tell people that you like vampires and they're like, why? You want to be one? You think you're a vampire? And it's just like, oh my gosh, wow. I just said I like, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Or I love the Lost Boys, and people think, I was collecting Lost Boys memorabilia before collecting memorabilia was cool.
Right.
And so now that memorabilia collecting is trendy and in, people are just like, whoa, where'd you get that? Did you get that at Comic-Con? And I'm like, no, I got that off of eBay over 20 years ago. And it's just it's not cool. Although Ming has one of my, I'm going to steal it from him at some point. I'm going to go out to Jersey just to steal this
What do I
Lost
have
Boys
to lock
piece.
down now?
You have to lock down your milk carton with Laddie's picture on it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that thing's awesome. Somebody on Etsy is selling the Carnation milk carton with Laddie on it, and it's a perfect replica. It's pretty awesome. And I first saw it. My friend had it in her kitchen. I was like, holy crap, where did you get that? And they're all over Etsy. I think they're made in the UK. Somebody in the UK is replicating them, and you can get one shipped for about $30 or something. And I don't know if you've read any of the comic books that came out recently. There was a pretty decent comic book series that came out, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, which I think everybody should read.
I haven't.
I figured you did. And I hope they never try to remake it. And I don't even know if they should sequelize it, but kind of with the blueprint and success of like Cobra Kai, like I would definitely watch a TV series made up of the remaining living cast members as a continuation of the events from 1987. I don't know who's clever enough to pull this off, but I think it could definitely be done. I think they just built such a cool world that we want to see more of it, right? So, I mean, there are probably others. It's not just Santa Carla that has vampires; like they're probably all over. So, there's a whole universe that could be told.
They could have a Frog Brother like vampire hunter training school,
Yeah,
like Cobra
exactly.
Kai, but like vampire hunters.
Yes.
Exactly, which they kind of touched on in that comic book that came out a few years ago. So yeah, that there are vampire trackers and trainers as well. So yeah,
Because there's vampires everywhere.
as seen in the fake comic book, yes, vampires
But
everywhere.
I have the full comic book of that.
Yeah, so do I. Which came out from I can't remember who published it. Yeah, but somebody came out with the full version, which you could buy. I think was it the Hero Complex Gallery, or I don't. It was somewhere out there where you could buy it. And
It's Atlantis. I forget what the full name of the shop is, but Atlantis in Santa Cruz, which is the comic book from store.
oh
from
yeah,
the
they had
movie.
some too, right? Yeah, they authorized it. Yeah.
And they were sold out for a year or so during COVID, but they're actually in stock again. So
Yeah, definitely hop on that if you can. It's one of when it came in. Yeah, it's definitely one of my most prized possessions.
Sam.
As a comic book fan and as a fan of the movie. And you know what? Yeah, I mean it might save our lives one day. These comics.
Don't invite vampires in. It's always a test when someone comes to my door. It's like if I open the door and they just come in, then I know it's good. But if they're like, "So are you gonna invite me in?" I'm like, "No,
Nope.
No,
go."
no. I learned many years ago. Yeah, I'm not inviting anyone in. Better safe than sorry, my friends.
That's when you yell out into the inside, inner part of the house. Get the holy water. It's go time.
Go time.
Man.
Get your
Yeah,
steaks in
fill
holy
the bathtub
water.
with holy water and garlic. It's that simple.
So, do you watch any of the horror shows or movies that are out now, or is your horror love kind of more when you first started watching?
I think I'm more of a vintage horror fan. I'm trying to expand my horizons, which is why I love listening to 3Haunted, which I love talking to people like you. The guy in my world who is like way into horror is Brian Johnson, which if you watch Comic Book Men, he's the
Sounds
guy
about
with
right.
the big beard. And he was the guy, like his mom took him to Texas Chainsaw when he was 5, and he got hooked from there. His mom's a nurse, so she would work third shift, and she would be up watching horror movies all the time. So he would go and watch with her. And as annoying as a person as he is, and as obnoxious as he is, he's definitely an expert when it comes to horror for sure. He sees everything when it comes out. So I remember I saw him like, "What'd you do this weekend?" He's like, "Oh man, I was first in line at Jeepers Creepers 3." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Really?" Like, yeah. He's like, "It wasn't that good." I'm like, "What world would you think that would be good?" But he makes it. Yeah, he makes an effort to go see everything and multiple times. And his horror knowledge is really deep. So it's funny. He makes fun of us for being comic book geeks and pop culture, and I like to the point where it's not almost, it's pretty he gets pretty derogatory with us for that, but that's just how he is. If you've seen the show, like that's really him. He'll just make fun of us for being nerds, but
You're like, that's not a persona. That's just him.
yeah, we're trying to explain to him though. The word nerd, like you can be a nerd for anything. You can be a nerd for for comics, pop culture. You could be a nerd for cars. You could be a nerd for floral arrangements. You could be a nerd for rocks, and you could be a nerd for horror. So I'm like, dude, you're not better than us. Like you're not so. I mean, you're cool, but you're not as cool as you think you are. And yeah, he's the guy I go to who's the horror encyclopedia. Like he could probably host his own show at this point. I would love him to be like a crypt keeper one day and just introduce horror movies on like Channel 9 at whatever at the midnight movie on Channel 20 or Channel 9 or whatever.
I'd watch
He'd be
that.
great at that. He kind of looks like the crypt keeper already, anyways. So a version of it for sure.
Oh man, I would definitely watch that though.
Yeah, and he made an independent movie called Vulgar back in 1997. It was it's a really good movie. I don't know if I would consider it a horror movie, but it's definitely got the horror tone to it. And I recently rewatched it and I was like, wow, the first time I watched it I kind of laughed it off. I was like, all right, Brian Johnson made a movie, haha. I recently rewatched it and I was like, wow, this is a really good movie. It does mess with your head for sure. The premise is definitely something you're never going to see in a movie anywhere, and you can see the horror influences in it. If you haven't seen it, definitely pick it up. I think you can grab it on Amazon, or it's probably streaming somewhere. And it stars Brian O'Halloran, who played Dante in Clerks, and he gives a great performance as well. Definitely check that out. And then I guess Kevin, if you watch Tusk is Tusk is definitely some form of horror movie. I don't know where you would categorize that as, but
yeah.
John's just like, I don't even know where.
So the first time I watched it, I was just like, I don't know. I see why everybody's like, what the hell was this? What was Kevin thinking? But
right.
I rewatched it and I'm like, all right, it's not bad. And I know that he wants to do a sequel now, and I'm just like, dude, like, what are you doing? But we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll be good, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, how much weed did Kevin smoke when he made this movie?
Right. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Now, do you outside of the Lost Boys horror comics, are there any other horror comics that you've read or that you're into?
Oh, actually, I think it just came out this week. A Werewolf by Night.
On Disney Plus.
Is a big, kind of inspired by like the creepy and EC comics back in the day. The ones that weren't code approved, right. And they turned it into a TV series, which I would have never, I thought would never happen. That's. I haven't watched it yet, so hopefully I'm sure they did it justice. I'm not one of these guys who overanalyzes these Marvel TV shows. I appreciate the fact that they even exist. So maybe they don't nail it every time, but I don't crap on them like a lot of hardcore comic book fans do.
Yeah, my brother's super like one of those that will scrutinize and like really pull things apart. And he sent me a message about Werewolf by Night, and he's just like, "You have to watch it." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You're not gonna regret it. Watch it."
Yeah, I've heard good things.
You'll love it. And then if that works out, hopefully we get a Tomb of Dracula TV series, which is another big
that would be
horror inspired Marvel comic book. Right. Issue 10 is the first appearance of Blade. So with no Tomb of Dracula, there's no Blade. So
right.
Now I see why you love the Lost Boys. You just had like a Corey Haim moment there. You're like, issue 10, first appearance of Blade. You're like, yeah, what the hell? What he said. As you have like the parents just like passed out at the cash register, stoned out of their minds, just slumped. Another dimension where there aren't vampires, or maybe where they are vampires. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I have a reputation at this point. So, and then so there are these comic and pop culture cons, but there are also a multitude of horror conventions. And so that's my next goal is to get into a horror movie long enough where I can be recognized long enough to be booked as a guest at a horror convention, because they're really fun. They have a different vibe than your traditional Comic-Con, and I think I think just people are more fun. Just horror is fun.
Maybe I'm a little more partial because I am a fan of the horror, but I have found I've been to a fuck ton of conventions. Not many as you, Ming, but I've worked at a lot, and I will say that the horror cons by far, they seem to have a bit more fun. I think the horror community itself doesn't take itself too seriously. Like you do have some of the horror fans that go extreme, which you get in any like fandom, but for the most part, like the general fandom base, it seems like they're just a little bit more relaxed. I mean, how many conventions can you go to where like Kane Hodder's taking shots at his table, tequila shots with horror fans? So
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I had heard there was one horror convention. They just plopped a keg of beer in the middle of it, and it was free for everybody. And that lasted until somebody ruined it for everybody else, and they don't do that anymore. So the closest I've gotten so far is I'm in a fairly current trauma movie for about 5 seconds. Which I don't think it's been released on DVD yet, but it's called Trauma Shitstorm. It's Lloyd Kaufman's most recent movie, and I got to be on there in a pretty memorable 5-second scene, I would say. And I don't know if it's enough to give me any horror cred, but I will list it on my credits proudly for sure.
I think I remember seeing the photos from this.
Yeah.
Didn't you show them?
I definitely sent them to, yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, I think I saw those. If they're the photos, I remember.
Yeah, I definitely sent them to
So
you.
what the trick is, make your own horror film.
That's not a bad idea. So,
because then they'll especially bring you in because you're the director and producer, right? So I say just make your own. Go for it.
You're right. I might know enough people at this point where they'll come and act in it as well. We get some pretty heavy hitters.
Robert Englund knows you a favor.
You know what? That's a great point. Robert Englund does.
I want to be an extra. Can I be an extra?
There you go. It's time to cash in, baby.
I mean, that's a hell of a favor, right? But hey, man,
if it's a small piece, you come to him. We'll shoot near you. Don't you worry about it. We'll come to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, hey man, remember that time you were almost trapped at an airport Holiday Inn in New Jersey?
In a seedy hotel.
You? Yeah, I'm gonna need to cash in on that for sure. So that's not a bad idea. I better start writing then.
See, write it out. Do you even have time for that?
I mean, if I was smart, I would just write on airplanes.
I was gonna say in between cons. Yep, there you go.
See?
Fly in.
There you go. Right on the planes. Make your horror film.
Yeah, you're trapped in a seat. You have a laptop. Got nothing to do for the next 5 hours. Bang out a couple scenes. Yeah. Yeah, you just reminded me. A few years ago, I was in Austin, and I'd gone to see a friend out there, and I was talking to her. She's like, hang on, I got to take this phone call. And she's talking to the guy. She's like, okay, tomorrow? Okay, cool. She hangs up. She's like, hey, do you want a tour of Troublemaker Studios tomorrow? It's Robert Rodriguez's compound, his movie, where he makes all his movies. And I was like, let me think. Yeah, I would like that tour. So I got the tour, and they showed us, the big green screen room where they shot Spy Kids, and it's pretty cool. Rodriguez is built because they do everything there. They make the costumes there, they make the weapons there. They have their motor pool there, so if you go there, you see like the car from Death Proof and like the pussy wagons there, and like all this stuff. And then the guy takes me into this room. It's dark, and he flips on the light, and he's like, Ming, welcome to the Titty Twister. And they had rebuilt it note for note for the Dusk Till Dawn TV show that was on the El Rey network. They went and made an exact replica of it from the movie. And the stage, everything. So I was kind of like, all right. I was like, when did Satanical Pandemonium come out?
Where's the snake?
It was
Where's Selma?
Yeah, or just the snake. I'll take the snake too, but I'd rather it be Selma Hayek.
Absolutely.
It was that real. And unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to take any photos, so I don't have any photos of it. But man, that was pretty cool. My life is weird, man. Like I didn't ask for this. It was offered to me. So
I went to Universal Horror Nights in LA just so I could go through the haunted house that was set up as From Dusk Till Dawn, and they used the stage props and the stuff for the TV show, and that was fucking awesome. But they had the people there in their vampire prosthetics, and they had a lady dancing with the snake. Wasn't Selma, but she did her best.
Right.
But it was just awesome, and they hustled you like through. You go through the front, and they had a guy playing the part of Cheech, just saying obscene things to people waiting in line.
Oh man!
And then you get in, and you're walking through, and there's the dancers, and it's slow paced, and then all of a sudden the vampires attack, and you're being like rushed behind the bar, and then into the cellar. It was so fucking epic. I'm like, worth it. This is all worth it. I don't mind waiting in that line for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So great.
That's amazing. That's another world. I mean, they did in the El Rey. I don't know if anyone saw the El Rey Dusk Till Dawn. It's pretty well done. Dusk Till had a couple sequels, not that great, but that's another world that they could totally expand on for sure.
I like the third one though. I like the Hangman's Daughter.
Yeah.
But as its own little period piece, I enjoyed it. I would love to see them, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I would love to see them explore the Aztec world of the back of the titty twister, Aztec with the vampires. Like, what kind of rituals was going on there? And like, I would love for them to get in there and do something with that. Come on, Quentin. Come on, Robert. Do it.
Yeah. What else are you guys
Where
doing?
you at? I know. You're doing nothing with your time. Oh man. Well, are there any other horror films you wanna
I was trying to remember. The Fright Night movies are also pretty. Those are ones that I like a lot.
Do you see why Ming and I have this like?
Yeah.
Do you see what did he say? He said Lost Boys. He said Freddy. He said Fright Night. Ming.
Yep.
I love you.
Those are the three. Yep.
Yeah. I think, yeah. But yeah, I have clear memories of seeing Fright Night 2 back in the theater when I was in high school, and it's not the original Fright. It's not Fright Night. It's not bad. It's not. It's not a bad movie, and I just those are two that stand out as well. But there's so much great horror out there now that I need to just sit down for like a month and just watch like multiple horror movies every day.
Just have like a full binge day of horror movies.
Yeah,
and have
for
really
sure.
fucked up dreams.
Yeah, because I really do. I love meeting those people where it's Halloween every day for them. Like those are the people that I gravitate toward for sure. I think. And but then when it's really Halloween, they kick it up even more. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
You don't even know it can go to level 30, and it's like boom.
It's like, oh yes, you can for sure.
But have you noticed most horror fans are so happy?
Oh yeah, oddly enough, yeah, they're very happy. I don't know about well adjusted, but maybe a little bit more well adjusted than other people. So
I say horror fans get out a lot of the anxiety and the stress and all the things we kind of bottle down. They get it out through like just. I don't even know, vicariously through the films. There's like a catharsis when you go through the experience of watching horror films that actually like get to you. And so
I think there's a thing to be said about desensitization, because this is why you should start showing your 5-year-olds horror movies, because the sooner that they can be desensitized.
No, I don't know about that.
I agree with him. I agree 100%.
I don't know about the 5-year-olds being showed that, but there is something traumatizing if they don't know that it's fake. But
right,
yeah, I'm a big proponent. I'm a big lover of horror. I will always encourage there is some kind of horror out there for everybody. It's just deciding what you're into.
Yeah, but if your kid wants to be Michael Myers for Halloween, like that's truly good parent. That's not just good parenting; that's great parenting right there.
Thank you.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, big applause, big ups to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I do what I can.
Are you a big decorator? Like outside that window, is there spider webs and
This is the side. There's nothing. That's just the side of the house.
This is just the side.
But I do love to decorate. We've already got most of the decorations up. I want to go get more. I always want to get more.
Sure.
Although one year, like it's got to be a future thing where I plan. I just need to find, this is the part where my brain has to figure out how to execute it because
Okay.
I want to do an Aliens versus Predator with the
Oh,
with the aliens on the roof and the predators like
yeah.
having a full brawl fight outside of the house. But I have to be able to find like that those are big. I have to find life size and not like completely break the
Yeah,
bank.
endomorphs and
Uh-huh.
predators.
Exactly.
They're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there. I've seen them
Yeah.
at Comic Cons. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find these and just put them like it's gonna be a big spectacle though, and when that happens, like I'm planning within the next few years because I have to start. It takes time to collect those pieces, so
Right.
it's gonna take time. But that's my vision and my goal and my ultimate ideal for Halloween is to have a full Aliens versus Predator happen outside on on the roof, on the yard, in the trees, and see what happens.
I would respect anyone with a giant alien queen like on their front yard for sure.
It's gonna be epic. That's for sure.
That's amazing. I hope this happens. I want to see you. If you do that, I'm definitely coming over. I'm taking.
gonna
I'm
fly.
coming over. I'm trick or treating at your house for sure. That
You
day.
should, because then I would have to dress up everybody as like an alien or a predator to take part in this, right? Like, so
Right.
it's gonna be awesome. It's been a goal of mine for like 2 years now, but unfortunately, when I came up with this idea, it was during COVID, so trying to find these things. I just,
Oh yeah, impossible.
yeah,
Yeah.
so now that, things are opening back up, it's like, okay, now I can find the pieces.
Right. That's amazing.
And then we'll see. I got to figure out
That's
how I'm going to
amazing.
do the lasers.
Yes.
Are you dressing up?
I am going to be a Ghostbuster.
I can't wait to see that.
I've got a proton pack, like a big proton pack and everything. I'm going to be a Ghostbuster.
I love that.
I do too. I bought mine last year. Yeah.
Okay, side note, I was joking about this. How mad do you think the paranormal community would be, the paranormal investigative community would be, if I showed up to a paranormal investigation in a Ghostbusters costume?
I think we should do that. I would think it was funny.
Will I get kicked out?
Being part of that community, I think it would be great. I'm just saying.
Let's call that having a good sense of humor. Come on.
I just
yeah.
wonder who will go piss off because I want to show up to an investigation with the Ghostbusters gear on and be inside and just like if a meter goes off or something, like pull out the proton pack and be like, I'm ready. And
Get a ghost trap and like, yep, toss it. Yeah.
who
that'd be
brought the ghost
fantastic.
trap? You didn't bring the ghost trap?
Right. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Yeah, I think that would be very appropriate.
Great.
Exactly.
I'm glad you guys have that sense of humor because I plan to show up to
Oh,
one
yeah.
in a Ghostbusters uniform.
I have a costume too. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I have a proton pack.
Oh yeah. No, my proton pack's on the opposite wall right here. So yeah, we're armed and ready, my friends.
Yes.
Well, what are you gonna wear that costume once and never again? Come on, that's like
Right.
yeah.
That's going to be a thing. If we start doing more shows like conventions, I'm going to show
Oh,
up
hell
at
yeah.
conventions with this on. Like,
And
I'll have the
costumes,
300 shirt on underneath and just have it
Yeah. Of
partially
course.
unzipped and like, it works.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see photos of the Halloween costume for sure. The Ghostbusters, the jumpsuit, the proton pack, everything.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Very excited. What about you? Are you guys dressing up?
I maybe I'll be a Ghostbuster too. I haven't really given it much thought because I don't even know where I'm gonna be on Halloween. So
Okay. Then I vote you be a Ghostbuster.
okay,
It'll be a themed costume. Although one year, Ming, you and I are going to have to be together on Halloween and we can be the Frog Brothers.
oh man. So would you be Edgar or Alan?
Ooh. I don't know. I think I'd have to be Edgar.
So that's the Corey Feldman is Edgar.
I believe so, yeah. I
Yeah.
should know this.
So yeah, I would be I'd be Alan though with the beret. Then I always liked him. I thought that was a cool look.
I'd be Edgar with the long
With the,
army jacket and like the red bandana.
Yeah.
So.
And I always liked the beret look and the camouflage pants.
See?
And
Yeah.
I believe what his name is Edward Newlander. I believe his real name.
Jameson Newlander.
Jameson Newlander. Yeah.
John, what are you gonna be?
I don't know. I'll probably be Ghostface again. You know me. Me
I
and my
love it.
scream.
He loves
Yeah.
Scream.
Yes. I mean, I have that. I have my Shaggy costume. I have my Ghostbusters costume. I have my Hopper stuff from season 3 of Stranger Things that Lila and I did for Comic-Con this last year.
Nice.
So I don't know. I have options.
We have options. But see, if you're a Ghostbuster, Ming's a Ghostbuster, and I'm a Ghostbuster, we have a theme.
Right.
We'll just
There you
Photoshop
go.
everybody together.
I'm down. I will do it. Totally.
All right, we're ready to believe you, everybody.
Exactly.
We're ready to believe you.
Well, are there any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the evening?
Well, for me, thank you very much, definitely for having me on. I again, it's nice to not get blank stares from either of you or anybody listening to this. As we geek out about the Lost Boys or Ghostbusters or Fright Night or Nightmare on Elm Street. It's great that this is horror, paranormal is probably bigger than it's ever been at any point in history. I imagine so. It's a good time to be a geek, my friends.
Sure is.
For sure.
Absolutely. My final thought: go see the movie Smile. If you want a movie that's going to creep you out and stick with you for a while, that's one of them. The trailer didn't do it justice. Go watch Smile. Creepy as shit.
And my final thought is, Ming, love at first fright. It will always be love at first fright for her.
For sure.
Thank you for coming on. I always appreciate.
Of course. Anytime.
Please come back. I would love to have you back on. This time went by way too fast.
Always.
We will always welcome you. You are one of the 3Haunted. You're an honorary. You're like a frog brother to the, we're
There
the
you
frog
go.
brothers. You're Corey, the other Corey.
Thank you. I'll have my T-shirt on next time.
You're the Sam to the frog brothers.
Oh, that's a huge honor.
The background was good enough. You didn't have to have the shirt. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
thank
that's
you.
awesome.
All right. You got
We
it.
appreciate you very much. And thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was definitely a big one for me. Ashley knows, but yeah, this was a huge one for me. So thank you, Ming. Thank you, Ashley, for this. So
If you ever find yourself at a convention where Ming is at, I highly encourage you to stop by his table, have a conversation with him, because holy cow, if you think this is awesome, just listening to him, he is a dream to have a conversation with. He's lovely and a wonderful human being. So,
Oh, thank you.
all right, John Thomas, bring us home.
all right, let's see if I can mess it up again this time. Go me. No, again. Thank you again, Ming, for this. I appreciate it so much.
Of course.
And thank you to all of our viewers and listeners for tuning into this episode of 3Haunted Podcast. I'm your host, John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And if you have any episode suggestions, questions, or comments, please feel free to email us at 3hauntedpodcast@gmail.com. And like always, we ask, if you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media. You don't want to miss one crazy moment like this tonight.
Until next time. Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more.
Boom.